The Judge Joe Brown Show, presented by Valerie Denise Jones. Uncensored truth with a legal twist. Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 929-477-1167. Now, welcome your host, the celebrity consultant, Valerie Denise Jones.
Hey, hello, guys. Welcome to the Judge Joe Brown Show. I'm Valerie Denise Jones. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Don't forget, Fridays are a very, very important day because it sets the tone for the weekend. Definitely want you to have a great weekend. I want you to stay prayed up and be safe. We had a great show for you today. 929-477-1167 is the number that should already be locked in your phone, but just in case it's not, 929-477-1167 is the magic number. Now, I am going to shorten my introduction. I'm not going to say much except thank you to everybody who's called in, who is already on the board, because I definitely love you to life and appreciate all your support, and also our international callers who tune in. So thank you. I don't know how to say that enough. Again, guys, if you decide to press the number 1 to chime in, a.k.a. join in today's conversation, please make sure that you keep your background noise at a minimum. We share all our episodes on a plethora of platforms and will be rejected if our audio is all checked up because they believe in standards, as do we. So I really would appreciate it if your background noise was at a minimum because I definitely want to hear what you've got to say. So, all right, let's get into today's show. All right, so this clip that I'm about to play is going to set the tone for today's conversation. I want to kind of start backwards and then go to, the question that everybody wants to know, why did this person say a certain thing? I won't, for spoiler purposes, I won't say what he said. I want you to listen to this clip. Again, it is long. It's about 5 minutes. But anyway, the person I'm referencing is Nick Cannon. Nicholas Scott Cannon is his government name. He's an American rapper, actor, and comedian who was on a TV show Wild 'N Out. That's how I grew to know him. But before that, he started out as a teenager as the host of the Nick Cannon Show. And lately you've seen him on episodes or shows such as America's Got Talent, Lip Sync, Short Battles, and The Masked Singer. I mean, he is very, very gifted and talented, so I definitely appreciate everything that he lends to this industry. What I want to do at this time, like I said, is go on and play this clip. Thank you so much to our guests. I finally see you on the board. I appreciate you guys. Forgive me for stuttering, but I was going down the board. There are a lot of calls in the building already. I was looking for today's guest because we're going to open up with him first and love on him for just a little bit before we allow you to do the same. All right? So here we go, and I will see you guys on the other side.
Well, again, I got to put one of them questions out. Let's just get to it. Quit beating around the bush. Why I can't be with a white woman?
That's what he really wanted to ask. That's what I knew the whole time. See, we can leave now.
I don't eat pork. But goddamn the white women, Jamie Foxx said.
That's true. Listen. I'm gonna tell you, man. That's funny. See, that's really what he wanted to ask the whole time. All right.
Nah, but we joke and we play, but the first question when we understand that white people aren't allowed to join the nation, but even when we're talking about love, and if love is truly an unconditional thing amongst all people and humanity and the organisms that we are, why? Because the color of someone or the lack of melanin in someone's skin, I can't love that person.
Well, the easiest thing I can tell you, brother, and how we're talking nation is, of course, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that love is from and of God. Love is superior and supreme and above color. He has absolutely stated this is his actual facts. He will not speak unless it's actual facts.
Right.
So when it comes to love, that is speaking from a godlike perspective, original perspective, untainted, clean, spotless, without stain or blemish, without any type of destructive past and historical understanding as to why it may be in the best benefit of my people or not of my people. The reason why the white woman, brother, and we can go into the anatomy, we can go into biology, we can go into history, we can go into culture, is not ideal for the black man, is because if you want to have the best of another black man, you have to have a black man and a black woman to have a black child.
Even though a black man and a white woman can still have a black child.
Now you're dealing with biology. All right, now you're dealing with that, which, by the way, because we have the dominant gene.
Yeah, we have the dominant gene. So
regardless,
a black man is going to make something else black.
Period.
No matter what you mix them with.
Period. Which is cultural, or not cultural, pardon me, which is genetic annihilation.
Right.
Now that's another area I can go in, and a lot of people are like, okay, but come on. But it's like, well, right now.
But we can't, if we're speaking science, as we evolve, we are creating this one race. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna go back to the original.
It's gonna go back. So why fight it? Because so really, when engaging with a white woman, all you is bringing it back home. You're just bringing it back home. You're allowing to create the original man once again. We all gonna be beige in a minute anyway.
Right. Now mind you, that's down the line. All right, now that's a couple hundred years, a couple 1,000 years.
It's inevitable.
Which is true, and they see it according to the United States Census Bureau right now. They're saying that by the year 2042, America will be a majority brown country. Yeah, and they are saying that white people are having more deaths than they are having births. Yes. So one perspective for other people would be, listen, I don't want
we got to save the white folks. Right. I got to be with all the white women so I can save y'all.
No, it's the opposite. I can't be with you because I don't want to kill you.
Yeah, right.
And that's some people's true. But in a nation's perspective.
And that's some of their arguments as when you see some of these super conservatives and people in these certain areas of these white nationalists, they just like, yo, we trying to not be extinct.
There's truth to it. See, and so it's like, you know what? I agree with you. I agree with you, white man. I want to be with a black woman. Why? Because I was forbidden from loving you. I couldn't look at you, or else
that's what made me want it even more.
Look at this.
Oh, I can't have you.
Look at this.
I'm gonna control you.
See, look at this. See, it's terrible. Y'all look terrible.
But I mean, we joke, but these are the real things.
It's real.
One of the reasons why white women are looked at as success. Because in America, we see a white woman, I couldn't have you. My daddy couldn't have you. My granddaddy couldn't have you. I would get killed even looking at you. People, if they thought I whistled at you, they would murder me, beat me, drag me down the street. So now, if I play for the NBA, I want them all. And I could afford them all. That's what they're thinking.
And the sad thing is that has to do with the slave master mentality.
It does, but we're superseding it.
No.
I was your slave for this long. Now I'm gonna take your woman, and because your woman always wanted me. She always dreamt about me.
She had you in the barn.
But that's what I think because
she
it was
snuck and had you
because
anyway.
it was forbidden. It was forbidden, so therefore, now that it doesn't have to be forbidden, I'm going to show that I'm the superior being, I'm the dominant original man, and I'm going to act within that. So therefore, that's why I believe at times we're like, yo, once you get money, once you get success, I'm not following anyone else's rules. I'm going to love who I want to love.
And the interesting part about that is we don't want to sit here and say, well, the black woman was raped, she was murdered, she was lynched, she was dismembered, she did all these things. My child, I couldn't look at my child or to sell them to another plantation. They tarred and feathered me if my woman showed any love to me.
And to this day, the black woman is still the most mistreated person on the planet.
Exactly. And you're telling me we went through all these different things. By the way, the white woman was largely part of that.
All right, guys, we're back. We are back. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're listening to the Judge Joe Brown Show, 929-477-1167. Now, that last line is where I want to start, and then we will unpack today's subject. Definitely want to start there, the black woman being the most treated and what attributes to that I need to know. Definitely want to start there. And what I'm going to do at time is go on and open up a few mics, 561-674, 561-674. Welcome to the show. How are you? Hello?
Hey, Brother
Hello.
Rizza?
Is this... Hi.
Yes. There we go. Now I can hear you.
Hey. How are you? Let me give you an applause, definitely.
Very good. I'm honored, sis. I'm very honored to be on this show. And once again, thank you so much for bringing me on. And to our brother Judge Joe Brown and all of you who work with him, I'm just honored to be here.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you. I just want to ask you that one question before I open up the mic, because I finally found the judge. I need to open up his mic. But, yeah, so can you first tell us a little bit about you, and then I want to ask you about the black woman being the most mistreated.
Absolutely. Well, first, my name is Brother Rizza Islam. I am 28, native of Compton, California. I'm a humanitarian activist, speaker, and, of course, a follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and member of the Nation of Islam. I've been working in the community nearly 20 years of my life, and recently have been on social media, pretty much putting on social media what it is that I do in real life. I've been doing that, I'd say, strongly for the last maybe 2 years. And so I guess, people kind of call wind of the work that's being done, and that's precisely why I am where I am now. And I just do my best as a follower of Minister Farrakhan to spread the truth, wake our people up, and get us into a position where we would be liberated and not reliant upon the system that we've been relying on for quite some time.
I definitely applaud everything that you, again, you lend to us. Thank you so much again for your time today. And thank you also to the other person who's on the phone with you. I appreciate you as well. Now, I want to, like I said, before we get started, I just want to ask you one question before bringing the judge in, and that is, I know the state of America, I can kind of guess, but what is the state of the black woman? Because I'm definitely concerned as a black woman, fearful, because I just had a very heated discussion, two actually, back-to-back. One, when I introduced today's subject matter, I had full of people call in, and they took it from the thing that said, hey, we're being mistreated, to, wait a minute, you are the source of the problem, and that's why the black man acts the way that he does. So what is the state of black women? Because I definitely want to have you talk about slave master mentality. That's a given. But what's going on with black women?
Well, number one, sister, black women are tired. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Blatantly, outwardly tired of being mistreated, being rejected, being despised, misused, abused, being the last married, the first divorce, being those who are always gentrified in their beauty, gentrified in their physical appearance, their style, their swagger. Everything about the black woman is being taken and being used for everyone else's benefit, but people don't want to pay homage or respect or validation to the black woman, upon which everything came from, including the entire human race. So that is the first thing. Number two, as a part of being tired, they are tired of black men and our lack of protection. That's a very major key point, because we as men have been destroyed, okay? And I literally mean from our name, our language, our culture, our religion, our God, our pride of being who we are as men, our masculinity has been removed from us by way of fear of being murdered or being killed by police, in particular, if we stand up to protect the black woman, by the certain systems of white supremacy in our jobs, in our workplaces. We feel that if we actually speak up in protection, do something, we'll lose our job, we'll lose our home, we'll lose many, many, many different things, including our life. And so that has prevented us from being the man that we are supposed to be, meaning a black man for our black women and children. And number three, black women are in a position where they are being forced to go to other men in other nationalities, other ethnic backgrounds, from white men to Asian men to wherever other than black. Anybody other than the black men in America, black women are being forced, they feel, because they are not receiving the love that they need. They are not receiving the understanding that they need. They are definitely not receiving the attention, the protection, et cetera, et cetera. Now, it's not entirely the black man's fault as to why this is where it is, because we both were destroyed by the system. So that is, we know that, black men and women collectively. However, black men who continue to reinforce the destruction of the black woman are those who help black women to be encouraged to move away from black men. And that is a problem that we as black men have to admit to, and we have to change right now, because we are the only group of people who have been this destroyed, and the black woman needs the black man, and the black man, regardless of how many of us are too damn prideful to admit it, needs the black woman. So that is the overall state of where the black woman is, and those are the causes, and these are the effects that we're dealing with.
You just don't know. Right now, I could take you shopping, whatever store, wherever in the world that you want to go. I swear, I feel so alone half the time, and nobody understands when you want to fall, when you fall somewhere in the middle, and you're like, look, I didn't come to fight, I came in peace, and they're like, no, you look like the enemy, and we end up in this matrix, and we're at war. And then when she speaks up and just simply defends herself, she is still wrong. And it's like, wow, where did she go? Gee whiz, definitely big ups. Oh my gosh, you deserve another applause. I know that's a bit redundant. So at this time, what I would love to do, again, I love you to life. I don't even know how to say that. I don't know you. I've never seen you before in my life, but I appreciate that so much, and I am definitely going to use that as a sound bite, right? Just that part right there. I'm going to play that for every black man who ever comes at me and goes, you're the problem. No, here's the problem. All right.
Right.
Here we go. Welcome, Judge Brown, to the show, 323-646. How are you doing? Happy Friday.
Well, yeah. How's everybody doing today?
Hey, how are you?
We are doing great.
Judge is in the house again. I guess.
That's right.
Brother, I appreciated your take on the thing about how it looks like it's all coming back around. But my first comment is this. Black men and black women are equally responsible for their current plight. Black men, we fit into the big category of we didn't protect them. And black women, you fit into the category of you facilitated slavery. Slavery could not have existed without the complicity of the black woman. Years and years ago, I worked for a think tank in D.C. I was an intern there. That's been, 48 years ago. And one of the things I had to research were these slave pamphlets that had been put on microfilm in the Library of Congress. And they're basically little things that they put out that were like how to raise slaves for fun and profit. They were like pamphletized infomercials that you see late at night. One of the things they said was the secret to raising slaves was to understand that the Negro slave was quite a bit like horses, like the horse. You cannot domesticate a wild herd stallion, but you can domesticate a mare who may even be the head mare in a wild horse herd. So what you do is you basically, and this was from very early on in the slave situation in the Americas, is you pick those slaves who you wanted to be using as breeders.
Correct.
Particularly the male side. You wanted them strong but not too smart. And just like with wild horses, what you did is you conditioned wild mares, and you knew that if you did it right, the mare would domesticate her foal, male and female, for the person who owned the horses. So the secret to this thing was to have the black slave woman domesticate her children so that they would become slaves. And the secret was, as many said, you can do it. It won't take long. Your overseers can do it, or your wife or your children can do it. And once you do it, and this is what I found telling, from the pamphlets back in the very early 1700s, they said these slaves will make slaves of themselves for the next 300 to 400 years. And we see it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, aside from that situation, we have a big question, and it hooks up with this thing that people are talking about again called reparations. The question is, what is black and what is white? Now, I'm aware of extended families where I have met all members of the 13, 14, 15 kids in the family who are now grown, and they are doing well for the most part amongst themselves, but if you line them up, you would see everybody on a spectrum who looked from white. You wouldn't be able to tell them otherwise if you saw them on the street. Very black, all in the same family. And they had the same mom and dad. Ain't nobody born from any outside activity. So is this one that looks white? And is this one that looks black? And what about the ones in the middle, and where does the spectrum get so it's more shaded to one than the other, or is it about culture? Now, with respect to Minister Farrakhan, one of the quandaries that the Nation of Islam had with the late Malcolm X was when he reached this determination that it wasn't white people per se who were devils, because he went to Mecca and he saw good white Muslims who treated him as a brother and said it is a cultural thing. So I find it interesting talking to people who have, say, gone to Ancestry.com, AncestryDNA.com, and gotten their DNA test. And by that I mean not just black people, some white people. I've seen some people that I swore up and down were white, and they could confess to me their shock at discovering how much black ancestry they had. And some of those white people had more black ancestry in terms of the DNA than some people that are counted obviously black. So aside from some of the popular mythology, it's like genes code for other things besides skin color, melanin. They code for internal features, bone structure, organ dynamics, and such like. And it's like these cars people put together from custom kits where they put a Volkswagen engine in it. They used to do it, but the car looked like something else. Well, there are people who have black insides but a white exterior, and people that have a black exterior but mostly white insides. So it is interesting when you look at that. So one of the questions that comes out of that when it deals with reparations that I've given long thought to is who gets to claim reparations. I looked at our past president, Barack Obama, a.k.a. Barry Soetoro, and he obviously looks black, but he wouldn't be qualified because he has absolutely no known American ancestors who went through segregation, Jim Crow, Reconstruction, or slavery. So he would qualify. So what about somebody over here, like I had a great uncle that was a Buffalo soldier with the 10th Cavalry from 1881 all the way up to 1902. He retired as a top sergeant and then joined back up when the economy was not good, and he wound up with the Big Red Run, which was a completely segregated white outfit from Alabama, and he passed for white, and he wound up one of the top sergeant majors in the division. And a lot of white boys would have fainted if they had known the top was black, at least in terms of his brothers and sisters. So, like, what is the deal? I mean, I'm kind of high-pilled myself, but my children, my sons are brown, and my parents were darker brown, and I got one grandfather I knew was African dark, and another one was African dark, one grandmother that was mostly whitish, but she was qualified for black, if I remember her brothers and sisters, and another one that was mostly Indian. So what is black in America? I identify with being black. I mean, I suppose off at a block, you know, if you don't see my hair, you might not know what the hell I was, but my hair gives it away, and the way I act gives it away, except for the fact that, excuse the language, I won't take any shit from anybody, and I've got raised so like, goddamn, if it's somebody white, they're no better than you, you're better than they are, so screw them. You know, but it's all an attitude thing. So somewhere in there you get problems with identification. I'll throw one more little exemplar in there. My last wife. All right, my last wife would have easily been able to pass for white, but she identified for black with being black. Her mother was white from Canada. And her father was a big old 6'5", 350-pound black man from Memphis, obviously black. So she got kind of caught up in the worst of two worlds. She didn't know what she was, even if she tried to identify. So she had a problem being all the way live black and then all the way live being white. She couldn't be either one of them because of who and what she was. So I used to joke with her. I said, damn. I thought I was getting a white woman, and then I found out she was passing. So she used to get real angry at me for that, but, you know, that's the way it goes. But, you know, it's sort of like the culture. You got a black culture. You think like, you know, something is wrong with the situation vis-a-vis me. It's not the same. I noticed something. I shaved my head now, so I was sick for a while, and I lost all tan, and I looked pretty pale, and I was traveling across country. And all of these white people were smiling at me and everything else, not because I had a TV show, but because they thought I was white, and it was kind of shocking to say, damn, they act this way toward each other, you know, like there's a presumption you're cool until proven guilty, which is a hell of a lot different than the looks I got a year and a half before when I had my hair. You know, it's like, okay, now I begin to understand what these folk are doing. They've got an inside track, you know, they've got a club. And everybody else, including us, we're kind of strangers in a strange land, and we don't drop. You know, that was a novel I read, a sci-fi thing by Heinlein. But it's a weird kind of thing about this race bit. So it might be interesting if everybody took a DNA test to find out what's in them. I looked at this woman that threw on Ancestry DNA, and she's talking about this head covering that's all wrapped up and how she found she had this much Nigerian, and she's just so proud because it's the most important hat she holds. I said, hell, I don't hold a goddamn important hat, and I got more Nigerian Yoruba in me than she does. So what the devil is the difference here? It's a matter of perspective. And one of the things that's most important in establishing your ability to relate with somebody, from my old perspective, is what you perceive yourself to be and how much pride you have in self. If you walk through the valley in the shadow of death and feel no evil because you're the baddest MF in the valley, you know, it's like Nookie is Nookie and it's all yours. But on the other hand, you may do a little cultural identification to help out the cause. But there's all kinds of variables from one extreme to the other in there. And
so, Judge, I want to ask you a question because you said something I don't want to move too far from. You said that you thought you were getting a white woman. Were you being facetious or?
I was being facetious. I knew what she was because I knew her family before I even met her. I met her.
I know. I knew he was being facetious. I knew he was.
I met her at her uncle's funeral, and I'd known her uncle as a good, very good friend. He got killed in a car wreck, so that's where I met her. So I knew what her relatives were.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, Judge,
I
a
was
point
just
that
a
was
tease.
brought up in the audio
But which
is
goes
that
to another thing. One more point. It goes to another thing. If you just got to
Okay.
have a high-pilled, white-looking woman, there are a lot of bona fide sisters with the DNA and the hookup in the family to qualify for that kind of look. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more about a cultural thing and what you're trying to do to help out the cause.
right. So it was mentioned in the audio clip we played that white women are looked at as success. Is that why? Do you agree with that, Judge? And also,
no,
I'd like
I don't agree with that.
Brother Rizza,
I don't agree with that. But there's something else
Okay.
I found out going to UCLA where when I got there, we had 145 black students total, grad and undergrad, out of us.
We got some background noise. I don't know where that's coming from. Just mute yourself if you're not talking. Yeah.
Okay. So what I found out is this. White women, if they decide to be with you or to engage in friendship with you, treat you as they do any other man. And that kind of thing presumes that you're going to take care of them. You've got something going on. You're going to act like a real man, and you get treated accordingly. When you deal with the sisters, there is still that same thing in the background of, okay, you may turn out to be a real live 100% man, but that has to be proven rather than assumed, because the person, meaning the black woman's experience is that most black men don't really act like men because they're scared of everything. They back down. They kowtow to white power. They shuck and jive when they get in front of white folk, or they act like every white man owns them, or every white man issues a paycheck to them instead of standing up straight and acting like they have manhood. So if you prove otherwise, they treat you okay. But if you're with or around or associating with white women, if they are associating with you, they say, he's a man, so I treat him like a man. I'll point out a classic example. It's called Jungle Fever. Wesley Snipes. And you got this situation where the guy was head designer for this architecture firm. They never would give the credit. And then one day he's out with his white girlfriend, and they get stopped by the police. The police are jacking him up, and instead of him acting like a man, she jumps in there and says, back the hell off. And he's going, baby, hold on, they might act like a man, like don't treat him like that, That was a very real presentation of the phenomenon.
Right.
And I know black men that don't take anything off of anybody, but I know many, many more that talk a good game until they get in front of white people, and then they got another thing going on.
Right. So, Rizza, Brother Rizza, what should I call you? I keep saying Rizza because I'm used to Wu-Tang. But Brother Islam?
Right, I know that. Brother Islam, Brother Rizza Islam, they're all fine.
Rizza. Gotcha. All right, so how do you feel? Do you want to comment on what the judge just introduced?
Oh, yes, and once again, Brother Judge Joe Brown, I am honored to be on this show, on your show, because I watched you growing up, definitely, and you've always been straightforward and always had that masculine energy of a black man, and I've always honored and appreciated that, because as you just pointed out, that's something that is not being present heavily, as you've already been witnessing yourself. So just thank you very much for allowing me to be on your show. So I wanted to say this. The number one thing that we're looking at now when it comes to black men, white women, and this is something I brought up last night, a lot of the athletes are being given kudos. They're being given, should I say, leeway. They're being given access to certain positions because they choose to go away from their culture. They choose to not be as black, not prideful and not have that level of appreciation for who they are. And once they do that, they are given access to higher positions of power, positions of authority, activity, access, what have you. And the ultimate way that they are showing to the dominant society or showing to this system that they are loyal to the system is by having a white woman. Now, I'm not referring to those who sincerely fall in love, because that does happen sometimes. I have witnessed black and white love. I have witnessed that before, where a black man, white woman fall in love under certain circumstances. It does exist in the world. Okay, so I'm not going to blanket statement all of them. However, for the majority of the athletic situations per se, black basketball players, football players, etc., these women are put around them. And anybody who is an athlete, anybody who's an NFL player, NBA player, they will be honest and say they put these white women around. They literally hire and put them around these men. They pay them and they put them up around them to do whatever, whether it's drugs, whether it's for sex, whether it's for whatever, and that is what they surround them with. They purposely do that. So they create the atmosphere, and then when one of the brothers falls to the atmosphere and they dress up the women and they tell the women about the NBA player that they're going to go see. I'm talking about the managers do this, the people who set up the tours do this, and they say, listen, you know, for example, LeBron, you're going to be around LeBron James, and this is the thing that he likes. He likes this type of food. He likes this. They literally give them the information. It's like their case file that they give to these women. Tell them all these aspects about this man. Tell them all of his likes, his dislikes. Tell them all the things that he's lacking in his life and how she can best help him to relax. And they make her up into the woman that he needs, but it's a white woman, and they don't do it for black women. And then when he comes out in pictures and all of this with white women, then it encourages other people who want to go into the area of the NBA, NFL, et cetera. It encourages them to think, oh, well, in order for me to be successful entirely, I got to be with a white woman. As a matter of fact, hell, black women ain't no good. You know, I got problems with my black woman right now. See, it starts to feed into the stereotypes. It feeds into the lack of love we have for one another, and it also feeds into the system that helps to destroy us. So we have to look at self and start to love each other. And we really have to get past generalizing all black people for the mistakes of a few. I will not generalize all black women because I've had a bad relationship with one. That's insanity. I will not generalize all black men because a business deal did not go through properly with one. You know, I can't do that to my own people. No one else does that to their own people except for us. We literally do that constantly, and it's not fair whatsoever. And, Judge, you brought up a point dealing with Brother Malcolm X and how he saw, quote-unquote, good white Muslims or Caucasian Muslims. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad never said that white skin is what made the person a devil. He said that it was the mentality that made that person a devil, and they were the number one group of people who had been carrying out that malicious, horrific, devilish mentality on the planet. But they are not the only devils. There are black devils. There are white devils, of course. There are Mexican devils, Chinese devils, Indian devils. Anyone who devalues a human group or kills people for pleasure or tries to destroy an entire group or human beings because it makes them feel more superior is a devil. So white people are not the only ones. However, they were the number one, and still to this day they happen to be the majority, but they are not the only ones who are devils. So I just wanted to clear that point up. And Brother Malcolm X never changed his mentality. He understood what the messenger, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was saying, which is the skin was never the devil. It was the mentality being carried out upon the human beings of the entire human family on the planet. So
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. That I agree with. The problem is too many other people did not understand that distinction. You're not a devil because of what you look like. You're a devil because of the way you behave. But a lot of people, and you see this on Twitter and Facebook when people are throwing around white supremacy, you know, they don't get the difference, and it's like you're a devil because you're white. Well, take a DNA test. You might find out you got a lot of it in you yourself. So
exactly.
What about your ancestors? So it's cultural, and everybody basically came up out of Africa. Some went to Europe and got real pale. Some went to Asia, got yellow. Some went from Asia to America, got red. Some came back around, and a bunch got brown. There's a little rhyme in there, but that's basically what it is. As you pointed out in your interview, looks like people are browning up again, and that was apt the commentary about what's going to happen in this country in the next 20 to 30 years. So it is a thing. But I just wanted to
absolutely
that part in.
Well, I want
to
back off of what you just said, Judge, because I want to make sure that before we open up the lines to the callers, that it is very clear what your opinion is, both of you, as it relates to genetic annihilation. I definitely want to hear, because Judge was just part of a movie called Race War, and they spoke on that. People really need to understand misconceptions, distinctions, what have you, based on that. And then also, if you could break down briefly slave master mentality, just for our young listeners, in hopes that, you know, we have something to take away from that as opposed to just opinion.
Okay, let me add something here. Okay, the ones that admit and avow to be racist, they keep talking about this German Nazi creation of the Aryan super race. If you want to see a classic Aryan, we've got one that's in the news quite a lot now, and her name is Kamala Harris, senator from California. She's got a very, very small percentage of black in her. Her father is nominally part Jamaican, which is where the black comes in, but it's a Jamaican who had a lot of Hindu in him. So her mother was Hindu, so she's mostly Hindu. And Hindu is one thing, that's a religion, but also it represents various castes. And Camilla's background is that of the Brahmin caste, or the highest class. Those are the Aryans that the Germans were really talking about, who disguised for the German public what Aryans really look like. Kamala Harris looks like a typically Aryan, Hindu, Brahmin caste person. And there is a similarity between that look, which is that pale paper bag brown skin color, long coarse hair, and those same kind of features she has. So that is what you're looking at when you look at your typical Aryan, that is the creature of mythology that so many white supremacists identify with. So keep that in your mind when you start listening to somebody claiming to be black, and when you hear somebody talking about the Aryan super race. Kamala Harris is a classic example of it. So, you know, it's all confused, and it's just sort of opportunistic. Like, what is this woman that was chair of an NAACP chapter, claimed to be a fair-skinned black, and everybody got to protesting about she's white, including her mother and father and her siblings, who I guess didn't want it to be identified to. But then we got other situations, too, with that. One of our worst enemies has been the FBI. Why? Because J. Edgar Hoover hated our guts. The background on J. Edgar Hoover that they're even playing on the History Channel and on the Smithsonian Channel now is that his parents got run out of Louisiana because the Klan burnt so many crosses on their property, claiming that they were passing for white. So if you look at a young J. Edgar Hoover, he doesn't look like a liver-spotted old white man. He looks a lot like the very fair-skinned Harold Ford Jr., congressman from Tennessee, 9th District, now resigned to run for Senate unsuccessfully. So there's a lot in this that we have to deal with in terms of the realities that we have manufactured in our own heads. Now, there's nothing like a good sister. I like the look. But, you know, sometimes, you know, that stereotype says sisters acting like Sapphire, which ain't too cool. And, you know, if you got a well-rounded sister who is intelligent, attractive, like our co-host here today. Have you seen her? She's a real good-looking woman. She's still
Moving
single,
right
and
along.
I'm trying to help her out as Daddy Brown.
Moving right along.
She keeps lamenting being single.
Go ahead,
she's a tall, lean, model-looking woman, a very beautiful sister. So, and intelligent, as you can tell by talking to her. So that kind of thing is always good. If I was a young man instead of an old man, you know, and not practicing to be a dirty old man, you know, I'd do something about that. But, you know, water under the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Age goes and age comes. But, you know, we have something that we face is what, and that's what they put us into as a bag, you know? Like like in Tennessee, when I first started practicing law, the law that was on the books, though it was no longer, you know, smiled at, said, for purposes of this statute, anyone with any known colored ancestry will be declared and considered colored for purposes of this statute.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you had any known black, but that was an interesting transition from something that is also applicable to the discussion. Prior to that, a guy named Church, who was the richest plantation owner in Mississippi before the Civil War and the richest landowner afterwards, had no heirs except one child born to his favorite slave mistress, a Robert Church, the first black millionaire in America. And to help out Robert Church, who wouldn't go for it, he got every one of the former Confederate states to pass statutes that said any person with no more than X amount of known colored ancestry may apply to a court or a chancery court for a declaration of Caucasian status. If upon recommendation of two witnesses and to the satisfaction of the chancellor or judge, the individual appears to be white, he is entitled to an official declaration of Caucasian status. So they went through some changes going for that over a 10-year period, so that if you are not heretofore declared Caucasian for purposes of the statute, well, you missed your chance. You'll be considered black from here on out, or colored. So you've got official statutes in every one of the former Confederate states because the rich plantation owners who started the damn Civil War for the most part found that they lost all their legitimate sons in the war, and in order to keep the property they had amassed from going or as cheating to the state, they got statutes passed so their sons by their favorite almost white slave mistresses could be declared white. So there are a whole lot of people out there that 100 years ago were in situations where they would be called black but aren't now.
Right. So, Judge, we got about 10 minutes before we break for the second half of the show. Do you mind at this time if I ask him to break down his version of genetic annihilation and also slave master mentality? Because I definitely want to make that clear, because I think that those two things lend to our fear. In addition to,
go for it. I listened to the tape too. It was very interesting. I want to hear it said. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Absolutely.
Go for it, young man.
Well, I'll say, well, yes, sir. I'll do my best here. I'll say it this way. Number one, when it comes to genetic annihilation, our dear sister, departed sister, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, in her book, The ISIS Papers, she delved thoroughly into that, and she has done many, many, many lectures with it, which is basically she would use a symbol. She would have a physical clay carving of a phallus or a black male penis with a gun holster or gun handle underneath it. And she said, this is the gun that will end the white race or the Caucasian people. And she said this is what their biggest fear is, which is why during slavery they would chop off the testicles of the black man. They would castrate and make sure they ripped off anything dealing with the reproductive organs of the black man, because they knew that our seed can produce every human being. That includes black, brown, red, yellow, and white. But only white people can produce only white people. And so if we put our seed in a white woman, because we have the dominant gene, according to Gregor Mendel, who is the founder of Mendel's Law, he states that you can get the dominant or the recessive from the dominant, but you cannot get the dominant from the recessive. He said dark eyes are dominant, light eyes are recessive. What was he saying? You can get white from black, but you cannot get black from white. And what that means is the only group of people who totally can produce everyone are black people, but white people will be a extinct race of people, if you want to say race, but they will be an extinct human reality from their perspective if they continue to intermingle genetically with black people. And this is why when the Honorable Minister Farrakhan talks about interracial dating and marriage, it's not the perspective of, oh, no, white people shouldn't be with black people. We don't even, it's like, listen, if you love a white person, okay, that's up to you. That's between you and God. We have no authority over that, okay? Only God has the authority over true love. No one can say that they have the authority over that. However, if you want your wife or husband to survive when it comes to the future reproduction of himself or herself, then you must put into the equation biology. You must put into the equation not only biology, microbiology. You must put into the equation the overall survival genetically, because the moment you have a child with this person, white woman and black man, then what's going to come out is a lighter-skinned child but dark nonetheless in their genetics, and the white gene will have ended. And this is why, according to the United States Census Bureau, by the year 2042, America right now is saying this will be a majority brown country because white women are not producing enough children. Their wombs are not holding the birth all the way until 9.5 months. They're not holding it. They are having a lot of problems, which is why they have so many fertility clinics in their neighborhoods. But between 78 to 80% of black neighborhoods, black and brown impoverished neighborhoods, we have tons of abortion clinics because we are producing children at a high rate, but white women are not. And as a matter of fact, the population of Caucasian people is dwindling, so they are actually dying faster than they are producing babies. So that is what genetic annihilation is, and that term, of course, from Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, that's what she was trying to teach them for the last 40, 50 years. Because she said, you are going to die as a reality of human beings if you keep doing this. It's not about hating you. It's about you living. And so that's a senior, it's a logical perspective, but it's something that really has to, be looked at, which is why certain people in the KKK and certain people in groups like that, the alt-right, et cetera, when they say we want a pure white race, a pure Aryan nation. Interestingly enough, Judge, when you mentioned Arian, Bishop Arius, who was present at the Council of Nicaea, 325 A.D., he actually was a black man. That's why if Adolf Hitler were alive today, he'd probably, go crazy to know that Bishop Arius was a black man. So that's just something else I wanted to laugh at when the KKK talks about we're the Aryan nation. No, that and the swastika you stole from black people. The swastika is an ancient Ethiopian symbol for peace, an ancient Kemetic Egyptian symbol for peace. All of that is from black folks. But of course, they have to take that with everything else to make it seem like
symbol too.
Yeah,
ancient
exactly.
Native American symbol too.
That's right. That is correct. And so they, they have to grab things to try. Yes.
Let me say something about this. This is interesting. Your typical white supremacist is viewed as being a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take that. Where do Anglo-Saxons come from? England, right? Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
correct.
In 410 AD, somewhere thereabouts, the last several Roman legions left England because of the German incursions that were threatening Rome and Constantinople.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the last three legions that got to Britain and had been there 70, 80 years and interbred a lot with the local population had been recruited from the Sudetenland and from Ethiopia and from Egypt. So there was a very high percentage of Africans, black Africans, in those legions. So genetically, there is a big bunch of black African genes in your typical descendant of an early Briton that's in there. Next thing is when they gave the Moors the opportunity to either convert to Catholicism or leave after 1490, when Ferdinand and Isabella unified Spain under their two houses. A lot of them became mercenaries, and they went to the lowlands, and they were in the service of the Spanish armies. And when Torquemada started his Inquisition in the 16th century, they declined to go back home and get put to a stake and burnt. So it developed that the lowlands wound up trying to reinforce Scotland and Ireland when they had a little Protestant Catholic uproar. And a lot of those Moors wound up dumping the second load of African genes into the English population through Scotland. And a lot of those kilt wearers wound up with a high percentage of black genetics. Now, in 1743, England freed its slaves, and there were about 1.5 million African slaves in England at that time, and they did not get deported. So the third dump of African genetics into the English population, at least on the commoner level, occurred then. Now, we've got this black actress that married into the English royal family as Princess so-and-so. But interestingly enough, when the U.S. wound up getting free from England after the Revolutionary War, King George III was notorious because his wife, though sufficiently noble, had an African mother and a white British nobleman for a father. So it was notorious that King George had a half African queen. That's in English history. So that came in even at the top. So when you talk about white Anglo-Saxon Protestant being your typical white supremacists, they got a whole lot of black African in them directly. And that makes the whole concept just about a laugh if it weren't so tragic in terms of its consequences.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, we're about 4 minutes out before we cut to break and bring in a few callers. Judges, that's okay. Again, please, speaking of being superior, because that term is used a lot. Yeah, if we could break down that slave master mentality so that that's clearly defined, and again, it wouldn't be something that we feared.
Absolutely. Well, I'll just say it really quick. When it comes to the slave master mentality, is number one, anything that goes for the master, the slave wants to be a part of it. Anything that benefits the master, the slave wants to be the one to do it. Anything that's going to harm the master, the slave wants to protect the master from it. Anything that the master wants, the slave will do whatever he or she needs to do to go out and get it. And this mentality has transferred all the way through from slavery, Jim Crow, Willie Lynch, all the way to the present in 2019, to where if it means I need to come out publicly against my own brothers, for example, Terry Crews, who came out against D.L. Hughley when D.L. Hughley simply said, hey, I personally, if I were Terry Crews, he should have punched the dude. No man should allow another man to grab his crotch or genitals and in front of his wife. I mean, that's emasculating. I mean, that's horrible, which I totally agree with. But that is a slave master mentality, because he comes out and says, well, does that mean I should slap you? Talking about D.L. Hughley, instead of blasting the man who grabbed your genitalia in front of your wife, you won't say nothing about him, but you'll say something about your brother who simply just said, hey, if it were me, this is what I would do. That is a slave master mentality. I don't want to endanger my check. I don't want to endanger my position where I am. I don't want to make white folks angry, or I don't want to make the Jewish people who own me angry. I don't want to ruffle feathers and maintain integrity and be a man. I'd rather play it safe, shuck and jive, as the judge was saying, and just make things comfortable for everyone. And that is that mentality that is still infecting a lot of our brothers and sisters to this very day. He mentioned Kamala Harris. She does not identify as a black woman. She doesn't even identify as Jamaican or Hindu. She identifies as American. They asked her blatantly, what do you identify as? And she laughed hard, and she said, you must have read my book. And then she said, well, I'm a proud American, when that blatantly tells us, okay, slave master mentality. She's pandering to the slave master, and she wants to play it safe. There is no black agenda that she has. Neither does Cory Booker have a black agenda. These are all people who have that mentality of, I have to do what benefits the slave master and not my people. That is the problem. And Brother Malcolm, may Allah be pleased with all of his good works, he broke it down beautifully when he talked about the house Negro versus the field Negro. And that is exactly what we are still dealing with to this very day is a bunch of house niggas versus field niggas. And that's the issue. I don't like using that term. However, that is the depiction and perfect description of what it is that we're dealing with. So that mentality is something that has to go. We must stand on integrity. We must do what is right, and we must do what benefits our people and benefits all in humanity, but first what benefits our people, even if it means going against our own selves. So integrity is something we have to maintain.
Yeah.
Let me add something briefly. Let me add something briefly to help you out, brother. Machiavelli in the Prince said, "No, old prince, you can get your subjects to submit to the worst oppression. They'll assist in their oppression if you give them a chance, however slight, to become part of your cast of oppressors." And see, that's what the black colored folk are doing, is they are jumping at the chance to be part of the oppressing class, and they assist in the oppression of their own people.
That is right, precisely. And it's our responsibility, because we can't say anymore that we have all these excuses and we have all these barriers entirely. The system of white supremacy does exist. It still is a system that exists. However, we have enough celebrities, enough influence, enough platforms, enough money to come together and do something for ourselves. We simply need to unite and separate from the system and literally pool our resources so that we can do something for ourselves. It's that simple.
Great. Thank you, guys. And on that note, Judge, if you don't mind, I'm going to cut to commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to open up a few lines, grab a few calls. So, guys, please press the number 1 if you are interested in joining today's conversation. 929-477-1167 is the number to call. See you on the other side.
Throughout history, there's always been the same question. How come black people don't seem to get further on the economic scale? This is a question with multiple answers. First comes slavery. Second, not knowing our history. And last, not sticking together. There's a beautiful African proverb that we unfortunately seem to forget. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This quote still stands for today. If we as black people want to get higher on the economic ladder, so where do we start? Well, by supporting black-owned businesses. Money is not the solution to our problems, but a tool to build our own economy. The time is now to support black-owned businesses. Black Economic Network, where black-owned businesses come together.
I pray you're enjoying today's show. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode on social media. Also, visit ValerieDeniseJones.com for additional updates. Now, back to the show.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Judge Joe Brown Show. And you guys know that when you listen, you should have 3 things: non-alcoholic libations, pen, and paper. I know if you have those 3 things that your paper should be full at this point, because they have definitely blessed us with just a wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate that so much. So, Brother Rizza, are you still with us? You still there?
Absolutely, sister.
Hello. Hey. All right, good. I just wanted to make sure, doing a little sound check here, and we still got the judge in the house. All right. Judge, I want to open up the line.
Judge is in the house.
All right.
Judge is still in the house.
So we're going to open these lines up and let a few people, we just have time for just a few calls, but we're going to let a few people love on you guys, and I'm going to, number 1, start off, of course, give honor to the person who is the reason for today's interaction, the person who was brave enough to reach out to Brother Islam's team, the one and only Mr. Maurice Duncan. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Queen? What's up, Judge?
Hello, good brother. Thank you for your work again.
Hey, man, always. Peace, Brother Islam. Thank you for taking your time.
Peace, my brother. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay. One question I wanted to ask, aside from what we're going through with politics, about the Nation of Islam, I started seeing a couple of video clips where they've been talking about the MGT and the schools that the Nation of Islam have been developing with kids. And I wanted to get information as far as like the history process of how did the nation kick off with the MGT, and what was like the main statue that you wanted when it came to creating a strong black family?
Absolutely. Well, first thing I can tell you, brother, is when the MGT class was created and established, as well as the FOI class, MGT stands for Muslim Girls Training. It is the female side, or the women in the Nation of Islam, who are also trained in self-defense. They are trained on how to cook, sew, how to clean house, how to conduct themselves at home and abroad. They are completely fortified as women to be prideful about being women. They, have knowledge of self, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the FOI, the Fruit of Islam, the name given to the military training for the men who belong to Islam in North America. So we are the military arm of the Nation of Islam. Now, for the MGT, when these classes were created, brother, they were established, under the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, of course, we're referring to now in the 1930s, and they had to have something to give all the things that I just listed. They had to have something that reinstilled pride within themselves, knowledge of self, knowledge of God, knowledge of the time and what must be done. They had to know their history. They had to know their place as the original woman, the mother of civilization. They had to understand exactly just who they truly are, how powerful they are, and how valuable they are to all members of the human family, because there would be no members of the human family if it were not for the black woman. So that's something that had to be given, but it had to be put in a class setting, because as we were taught to hate ourselves, we now have to be retaught in how to love ourselves. Does that make sense so far? Can you hear me, brother? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so far, that makes a lot of
sense. Okay, so you're right. I just want to make sure we're tracking so far. So that's exactly what had to be done, and it has not changed. The classes are still the same. Of course, they're updated every single time. Updates need to come in. We stick to the modern time, technology, whatever it is, so that women can understand. Women have to be protected. They have to be maintained. They have to be sustained. They have to be understood, loved, given all that they need. And also, the MGT in particular, they know how to conduct themselves as women. They don't put themselves in positions of danger if they don't need to be in that position. They don't go around messing with any kind of dude, because they have such a high level of exquisite quality within themselves to where they don't settle for just any Negro walking around. They just don't do it. They don't even involve themselves with that. They are trained in self-defense. So these sisters, you see them, they're covered. They are modest, and they believe, and they are taught, and we believe that their power, one part of their power comes in their modesty, because they demand respect, because they demonstrate that they respect themselves. So you can't just roll up on one of these sisters and not expect to get, a couple fists and a few knees and some feet put upside your head, because they know how to fight. They know how to fight now. I'm just going to tell you. Yeah, people be like, oh, they look so sweet and delicate. Yeah, yes, they do. That's right. They sure do. Don't touch them, though.
And that's
they do not play.
And that's the reason why
but I had to let y'all know that.
That's the reason why I wanted to ask that question, because it was just to the point where I really hate how the media portrays the NOI in such a negative way. But the thing is, they're so scared to show the light side, the best side of what makes like a shining black family with pride and dignity and moral. And it's just like they cover that whole process. So that's the reason why I wanted to throw that question out there.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the question, brother, and I pray any sisters listening, I hope that answered it as well if you were thinking about that.
Most definitely.
All right. Thank you, Maurice, for that. 818-613, you are live. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, this is Philo the Great. How's everyone doing?
Good. Blessed and favored. How
are
you?
My brother.
All right, so I got a question, just a quick question. I hear my brother is representing the Nation of Islam. I wanted to know, okay, we see churches in the neighborhood. We got churches, Christians, Baptists, all types of denominations. I have yet, and I hear you talking about black economics, spending money amongst each other, but what is the Nation of Islam like? What do they do for the neighborhood kids, the inner city kids? Like, I have never seen them in our neighborhoods doing any type of fundraisers, passing out clothes or bags or anything like that. So I would like to know, is there something that I don't know that happens? Because I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. And I have yet to see that. I have seen brothers come sell the paper that they sell. I've seen brothers sell the bags of fruit. I see that going on, but I don't see the Nation of Islam collectively in the neighborhoods doing stuff for the kids.
Beautiful question, brother, and I appreciate you for calling in all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. You way over there. I'm on the West Coast right now. But for real, I'm like, man, that brother said Nashville. I'm like, dang, that brother way over there right now. Okay. Yes, sir. Well, I can tell you this. Number one, the Nation of Islam is not in every single city in the United States. If that were the case, then we as black people wouldn't really have a problem right now. We'd have virtually everything we need, and we wouldn't really be relying on this government for anything. However, we are doing our best with the numbers that we do have. And that's the thing that I was talking about last night when I was speaking. We have to unite and do something for ourselves, so we can't rely on just one group and put all the pressure on one group. You can't put all the pressure on the nation, because the nation, even though we are a very powerful black group, we are not the only one, and we are not 40 million strong, because we have nearly 43 to 50 million black people in America, but we do not have that many of us doing this work. So in the majority of the inner cities, we are doing work, all the work that you mentioned, and then some, including speaking in the prisons, including giving jobs to multiple brothers and sisters, including passing out clothes and getting people housing, getting people off of drugs, putting the children in after-school programs. A lot of the members of the Nation of Islam run after-school programs, mentorship programs. You name it, brother. Every single thing affecting our people, we are helping all across the country. It's just we have not touched every single city because we're not in every single city, but we are doing the best that we can. So my advice to you, brother, is to definitely get out and do what you can, and also I'm going to see which location is nearest to you so that the brothers can find out where you are, so that whatever you see going on there, they can connect with you and they can come and help you with that, because that's definitely needed.
All right,
let me help you out with something. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee right now as we speak. Brother Anthony Muhammad here is minister here, and the Nation of Islam manifests itself by teaching people to fish, not giving people a fish to eat. If you learn how to fish, you can feed yourself. Now, occasionally when there is some kind of predator doing some things wrong in the black community, which is large in Memphis, since it is the largest predominantly black city in America, our local DA is a corrupt individual, and there is not much attention paid to these young black children who are getting preyed upon by white predators who come down to do some very nasty things to these young girls. Well, the media doesn't publicize it because it's controlled and it's not in their interest to put that out. But the Nation of Islam can always be counted on, and has for the last 45-some years I've been in Memphis, put out patrols, and as soon as they put them out, all of these predations just stop because they make it safe for people. Now, that isn't obvious, and no, they don't particularly have a program where you go and feed everybody's child, but you make an offered opportunity to the child's parent to come in and learn what they need to do to become a wholesome and good parent, and to become part of something that puts meaning in their lives, and to become part of an economic plan and a social plan. So I agree with that policy. The thing in our communities is we're always looking for a handout from somebody, either friend, relative, or the government, state or national, that we lose sight of and forget to develop the ability to fend for self. So I'd have to
That's
give
right.
I look at
credit
I
here.
look at what you're saying, Judge, as not that the community is not looking for a handout at all. It's not that. It's not that. My thing is when you speak black economics, when you speak black wealth, when you speak spending money amongst each other, most people don't have a clue how to begin doing that, because it's been said on this line that most black people don't even know how to be black, where they come from, what they stand for. So when you talk about spending $1 amongst each other, then it has to be somebody leading by example. So we talk about this black economics. We talk about black wealth. We talk about this, but what is these? I'm asking because I don't know. Not to shoot it down. Not me. It's me asking because I got the opportunity because it's a great show. It's what is the Nation of Islam doing to help black economics, to help to build the black whatever, to help black people spend money amongst other black people. That's what I want to know, because maybe I need to be in the Nation of Islam. That's why I'm asking.
That's a very good point.
Very good point, and let me answer that because that's a different question. First, you were asking that specific one dealing with children and what we're doing right there near Nashville, but this question dealing with economics. The beauty is, one, we have our own independent farms, which the people support, and then we support the people by providing them with the food they need. We have our own chicken that we have, organic chicken that we raise. We have beans, broccoli, orange juice, et cetera, et cetera. We import fish from out of the country. We finally got our fish importation back up. We have independent schools so that people who cannot go to these schools because they're trying to force children to take vaccinations that are causing autism, and I thoroughly am involved in the science at the Center for Disease Control, so it's not a conspiracy theory that I'm putting out there. It's actual fact from the place where the science comes from. So people need an alternative. So we have the schools, and they're extremely affordable for them to bring their children to so that they do not have to fall under that. We do have the citywide patrols in certain cities, as the judge was speaking of, where we do patrol the city, even regardless of whatever the police are doing. We are patrolling it to make sure that our cities are safe. We're doing a lot of collaborations with other organizations to, as I said earlier, to provide jobs, which is a direct economic stimulus package, because we have a lot of brothers and sisters in the nation who have land and real estate and companies, security companies, tax companies, et cetera, and providing jobs for those who would otherwise not qualify for jobs in other places. So we offer those jobs to them. What we're not doing, as the judge pointed out beautifully, is we're not simply giving handouts because we do not want to feed into a handicapped position. We do not need to be a people who simply rely on putting our hand out. And I know that's not entirely what you were saying. However, I want to make sure that everyone listening knows that we teach people to do for self so that whenever they get in a position to where they are faced with survival, they know how to survive. So we provide them with the knowledge first, the spiritual guidance as well, and then we have these other alternatives. We have jobs for them if they need it in certain cities. We have the food if they need that. We also teach people martial arts. If the brothers want to come Monday nights to class for the men, Saturday mornings for the women, we teach them martial arts, self-defense. We teach them about not simply economics, but, of course, history, et cetera. We teach them how to sew for the women and how to make clothing so that women don't have to rely on this system for clothing as well. They know how to make their own clothes if they want to do that for their own business. The brothers as well, we teach them different business practices, different ways to set up nonprofits. I mean, well, we do so much, but because it's not being seen entirely by the whole nation, because it's not recorded every single day, doesn't mean the work isn't happening. And if you don't see it directly right there in your city, I recommend, I don't know how far Memphis is from Nashville, but I do recommend to go and meet with the minister there, as I was saying before, so that he can have some brothers who will come down into Nashville, see what's going on, and definitely see how they can help, because we absolutely help. As long as we know where there's a problem, where our people are, brother, we will help. That's the definite. You can count on us for that. So we have to be made aware of that.
About 200 miles from Memphis to Nashville.
200 miles, okay. Okay, well, that's fine. Yeah, definitely. If you have the time to go down, I recommend going down Sunday if you can. If you want to take that drive down,
Man,
that's
my home. That's my hometown. Like I say, Memphis is my hometown. Like
beautiful.
I say, like I stated, I see him out there with the papers, with the fruit, passing out the papers, selling fruit. I see that, but I never seen them in the communities. And like the judge said, yes, when something happens, it's no secret. Most celebrity black people, when the white people start messing with them, they run to the Nation of Islam. Like, you'll see them in churches, then when something gets to happening, they run to the Nation of Islam for protection. You know what I'm saying? So we see this all the time. I want to know from somebody like yourself who's on this line representing and speaking for the spokesperson of the Nation of Islam. Actually, what do y'all do? And I found out is y'all teach people. Y'all ain't with like you say, supporting the handout mentality, handicapping, so to say, handicapping your people. So when you ask these things, and there's probably a lot of more people on this line listening that's like me that really want to know what Islam stands for, and probably just don't know why. Because their mama probably was a Christian, their grandmama was a Christian. She probably teaches Sunday school. They'll probably disrupt the whole family if they come home and say they are Muslim because of the practices, the belief lines up with what they believe as a personal person. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why I'm asking these questions, bro, so it can be understood, so everybody can get a fair understanding of what's real and what ain't. And I recommend everybody listening to go research what the brother has said, because I am.
Absolutely, and I admire your question, brother, because that's what it's for. It's definitely for the people. So I appreciate the question. And once again, brother, if you really are real about it, definitely go down to the mosque in Memphis, meet with them, because they will come down there and get things started wherever, or not get things started, but continue to do things, even though you may not see them doing them. They will absolutely go directly where you see that the help is needed and make sure that it's being resolved right there.
All right, guys, we are down to about the last 20 or so minutes, so we only have time for about one or two more calls. So at this time, I'd like to open up 202-210-20210. I think we're down to about one question per person because I want to give the judge and Brother Islam a chance to have some healthy banter to give us closure for today and say any final words plus contact information. So 202, I forgot.
Hello, everyone. This is LA.
There we go. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
So how are you?
This is LA from the COE, home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Hello, Judge, and everyone that are on the panel today. I'm enjoying this, and the importance of the women. It is very rare that men are saying anything like this, because I grew up in a segregated neighborhood, and we had the most beautiful black women teachers that anyone would ever see. And I remember Maya Angelou's essay, Sister Flowers. It just tells you about how the black women should be and carry themselves, and I modeled myself after that. And I noticed, too, that I've set an example for other women coming up. But many of the programs and things that you're speaking of, do the women have to submit to the Islamic religion in order to become, to get help, or...
No, ma'am. No, they do not. And I don't want to cut you off. I just want to make sure I answer. I get that out before the radio cuts off, because I want to make sure you get satisfied with this answer.
Well, that was my question. That was my question.
Okay, beautiful. So in order for a woman to receive help from the nation, no, she does not have to be a registered member, because as we are taught, all original people are a part of the Nation of Islam, whether they know it or not. And you do not have to cover your hair, walk in, and start, wearing your MGT uniform if you're not registered. No, if you choose to join the nation, then of course that is up to you. But we don't force that on anybody. We don't push, you need to join the nation to get. No, that's not what we push. If you need help, we're there. If you need food, we're there. If you're looking for a job, we will do our best to find the resources for you to get it. All of these things. And the classes that I was mentioning, they are public classes. For the women, the classes are Saturday mornings, usually between 9 and 12, or some cities and some states, I believe it's 10 to 1. And that's where you can go as a woman to learn all these different things, learn how to sew and, of course, cook, et cetera, learn history, learn mathematics, learn religion, because we study the Bible, the Holy Quran. We study all sciences, all holy books, et cetera. So just if you want to be in that environment to be reinfused with the love of being a woman and who you are as a woman and what your relevance is to the whole planet, just overall, that is somewhere you can go to have a safe environment where you will be respected. The brothers stand on post, and for women on Saturdays, so the whole perimeter is secure during your entire class. So, that's just something that you can do, and that's free. There's no charge for that. There's no obligation, none of that. And the same thing goes for the brothers who want to receive all of these different things as well. We have public classes on Monday nights for the brothers at the mosque. So, no, ma'am, you do not have to be a member because you are a member by nature, but you do not have to actually join and register, your name and get a number. You don't have to do any of that if you just want to, learn and get the knowledge and so that you can help yourself. No, ma'am.
Well, also, too, my situation were trying to get help from my sons. And I was a single mother raising them and not having the nonsense of having an abusive mate or anything that would cause them to think differently about life. And do you have programs that help those single mothers help their sons also?
Oh, yes. Well, the nation, which is we have, the minister is like the grandfather or great-grandfather to millions of us young black men out here. And the brothers, we are all seen as brothers. That is why we say that. So, yes, he can come to the class on Monday night, and or I recommend going to a Sunday meeting first so that he, just learn about it and see how the environment is. And then he can speak to the student minister there after they finish speaking or doing the lecture, and then he can talk to them, let them know the situation, if he's looking for a job, if he's, whatever he's trying to do. And one of the brothers, or even multiple, will have a connection to either a job, to whatever he's trying to do in school, et cetera. Whatever the problem is, we're there to help. So he can go on Sunday for the public meeting, and then he can come back Monday night for the class for the men's training, and he'll definitely be able to get in contact with whoever to get the solution to whatever his situation is.
Now, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, and what do you have here in this city?
Cleveland, let me see. If you Google Nation of Islam and you type in Cleveland, Ohio, the nearest location and the address will pop up.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Valerie.
Sister, before you
you're very welcome.
I'm curious about something I want to ask you. You said you were a single mother, is that right?
Yes, my children are now grown, and we have grandsons now.
All right. Now, let me ask you this question. You said they didn't have to endure the negative influence of violent or abusive or husband around the house.
No, it was around them, but I raised them as to show them that there were better things, family first.
So you're saying you had to endure
God first, family next, and then, we had friends that we all were together. We cooked, we partied, it wasn't any arguing and fussing, although in our community there was those things. It was just that they had a chance to see the human value instead of the world corruptions and things like that.
So you're talking about in their immediate environment, not necessarily in their personal households. They were exposed to a lot of inappropriateness in terms of family relations.
In the family household, we were good. Outside of the family household, after they had gotten older and became teenagers, they became influenced with the streets. And I tried to get some help from some of the Islamic people here. And I was told because I wasn't part of the Islamic nation that they couldn't help me. And they didn't have uncles. They didn't have anyone that could could help guide them along the right way to show them their pride in being black.
May I make a
my call dropped. I have a question.
May I make a question?
Really quick, when you said the Islamic nation, there are different people who have certain names that sound like ours, but was that the Nation of Islam that you went to, or was that some other group?
I'm still trying to figure out. I just met someone that was Sunni, and you have the Islams, and you have the Muslim, and then you have the Sunnis, and you have some others. And so I just went to some of the ones that were standing out, voicing, they say that they wanted to stand up for the rights of the people. And when I went to them, I could never really get there because I was not part of that group. And I felt a little slighted and just did the best I could.
May I make a suggestion to you for your... That is different.
Absolutely.
Sunni, Shiites, and such like, and all of the rest of that, that's very different. But look, let me make a suggestion to you for your grandsons. Make sure they get pounded into their skulls, however thick or thin the skulls may be, that the most important thing they could be is to be a man. That's more important than life itself, because sometimes being a man, you have to sacrifice your life for the good of those you're responsible for. That gives them a cause. That gives them something that looks back at them in the mirror every morning and makes them make an assessment. Did I do the right thing yesterday? Will I not do the wrong thing today? In other words, it keeps them focused. So when it's bleak and everything looks dark, they just don't give up hope. They've got something else, which says, I'm a man. I'm supposed to be able to handle this adversity. I shall be a man, even if it's on to my death. I will be a man. And that keeps them doing what we need to do. But tell your grandchildren to leave all of this sick, perverted nonsense that they're trying to put in the masculine mind these days that you see so much of on the media. It's poison. It is not good. And see, if you had men more masculinity, you would have less of that kind of nonsense in domestic violence that they were exposed to growing up in other households.
That's right.
You would have no dope sold in the community. You wouldn't have these murders. You wouldn't have these robberies and this senseless, self-defeating mass suicide going on that we've got going.
Right.
Anyway, that's just enough on that.
Right. And just being a woman, though, I didn't get a lot of support because I chose to raise my sons by myself. And so I did reach out to those organizations in order to try to get them. And so their thoughts have turned to the world, and now they believe in family. They do believe in strong family, but as far as the upstandingness and being a man and taking responsibility for your actions is all out of sorts. They never had that example around them where they had a strong man that showed them that they would work, come home, take care of family, be responsible for who they were.
Well, you know what?
Yes, ma'am.
I took advantage of being a judge with some of the people I put on probation. In fact, everybody I put on probation. And the statewide recidivism rate, that is repeat rate for felony offenders, was 80%. In my courtroom, it was only 18 because I would give them manhood lessons, and success or failure in the lesson was you either out of jail or you're back in jail at my discretion. So people 25, 20 years, 30 years later come up to me now and say they want to thank me, and they've got a lot of gray hair and grandkids, and say thank you for doing what you did. I really needed that. See, manhood gives men a cause. It makes him feel whole about himself. It gives him something that is daylight at the end of the tunnel. And even if it is a long tunnel and only a pinprick of light, it gives him a cause to fight for on the way there. So do what you can. I would suggest giving your grandsons or mandating that your grandsons, even if you got to pay for it, martial arts training. That's good for boys. I would have said the Boy Scouts 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah,
now
I've done
won't,
that with my sons and the
that's
grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have done that.
There you go.
Good. And sister, really quick, how far is Toledo, Ohio from you?
Toledo is approximately 95 miles. It's near the Michigan border.
Okay, so that's about maybe an hour from you or so, about an hour or so?
2 hours.
2 hours, okay. I have one of the locations, which is Muhammad Mosque, number 91, and I can give you that address as one of the locations. But that's one, just to start off with. And if you make that drive down, of course, they'll let you know, because I don't know every single mosque, number, every address. I don't know.
Right, I can Google it because I
online.
don't drive at this time, so I can Google it to find the closest one. But I do appreciate your information, because it does get a little hectic. Just like with churches, you got the Baptists and the Pentecostals and the Catholics, and everybody's saying the same, but they're saying something different. And, I would love to see our young men come up the way that they should come up, as you all are. I understand the scrutiny that you're going under because you're Muslim, but your young men are coming up, gentlemen and progressive and successful, and that's a good thing.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I definitely appreciate that. And I want to make sure that you have what you need so that you can get the solutions for, as you were saying, your son, so that they can have all that they need to be young, strong men with a heightened sense of masculinity and pride and respect and dignity. We want to make sure they have all of that so that they can be contributing members of society.
You can give that info to Valerie, and Valerie will text me with that information. She and I are in contact with each other often. So I do appreciate that as well.
I will do that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're
welcome.
welcome.
Very welcome. All right, so at this time we are again down to our last 10 minutes of content before we get contact information. I do want to spend just a brief moment on the audio, because I wanted to ask the one question that was the elephant in the room, and that is, it's to you, Brother Rizza. Why can't black men date white women? What's wrong with that? Nick Cannon said it was okay. So what's wrong with dating outside of our race?
Number one, we are the only group of people who want to date the children of the people who have murdered and destroyed us completely. I don't see why it is such an eager push to want to be with a white woman. But once again, I did mention earlier that if it is true love, of course, our hands are off of that. If you truly fall in love with someone, regardless of their color, okay, that is from God. We are not insane people. However, we believe that because the black woman has been the most destroyed, the most degraded, the most devalued, the most undervalued, the most disrespected, and totally destroyed as a female on this planet. And when I say black, I'm referring to the black woman in America and the black original woman across the planet. I believe that as a black man, not only is it my duty, but it is my obligation to uplift her, re-infuse her with her pride, her sense of self-esteem, her love for herself, the knowledge of who she is, her importance, her value, exactly for her to know exactly what level of power she possesses. That is my obligation. That is my duty. And for me to step outside of that, to just go and be with someone else because it's easier, because being with a white woman has no obligation to your people. Being with a white woman has no obligation to have loyalty to your people. Being with a white woman doesn't reflect on all of her people. So everything that you gain as a black man, all the wealth you gain, all of the experience, all of the influence, then it gets transferred to her when you die, or gets transferred to her when you break up. She gains, but you lose. So your people is the number one thing that you must be dedicated to, and the number one greatest dedication to the black struggle, black liberation, and black people is for a black man to marry and fall in love with a black woman. That is exactly how it is. No one gets mad when a Chinese man wants to be with a Chinese woman. Nobody bats an eye when a Jewish man wants to be with a Jewish woman. No one says anything when an Indian man wants to be with an Indian woman, or an Italian man with an Italian woman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it is only when a black man says, I want to be with a black woman, black man and a black woman, that the whole damn world seems to come against us. Why? Because everybody is benefiting off of our degradation. Everybody, in every way possible, including primarily economically. They benefit from us being divided, because if the black man and woman come together, then we will have our own nation and we will set up everything for ourselves, just like everyone else has set up things for themselves. So that is the issue that is going on. There is the problem with it if it is on the basis of lust, the basis of, well, I'm getting with a white woman because I don't want to hear the black woman's mouth anymore. That type of shallow, insignificant, punctified reasoning where black men want to make excuses rather than saying, I'm going to take up the challenge to be with this black woman because she deserves to have everything. Instead of doing that, you want to run to a white woman who makes you feel good. I'm not into that nonsense. If you're going to be a real man accepts the challenge, as the judge was saying. Be a damn man. Don't go and do something because it's easy. No, take the challenge and be with this woman. Didn't your mama birth you? Didn't she hold you in her womb between 8 and 9.5 months? Didn't she go through a struggle raising you and raising us? Oh, okay, so doesn't the black woman at least deserve a chance? Does she not deserve that? Oh, okay, well, if she doesn't deserve it, then how the hell can you say another woman deserves it when that other woman has never gone through the adversity, the trials, the issues as a collective than the black woman has gone through? Nobody else has faced the same level of trial, trauma, degradation, or hatred like the black woman, and particularly of America as a collective group. For women all across the planet are catching hell right now. So that is my main premise, sister, which is we need to find love to love our black woman, because we were birthed from black women. So I don't have any other there's no one else that deserves my full love, full attention, full obligation, or loyalty other than a black woman, because I'd be betraying myself and my own people. But once again, if I fall in love with somebody and it is truly love, okay, then that is from God, and that is something that no one can say anything about. But right now, as a black man, I feel that I will be marrying a black woman, having some black children, and there is no problem with it, because there's no problem when anyone else does it for their people.
All right. Like I said, good answer. Definitely. I just wanted to, because we have a very young audience in most cases, and I wanted to make sure that they heard that and they understood that, because too many people, when I promoted today's show, people don't understand how much work goes into promotions. But as I promoted somehow or another, it became, black women don't deserve respect. And it's all what the black women are doing to the black man. And it was just, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. That's not what he said. That wasn't even addressed in the video. I think that you are somehow or another, you are based on your individual experiences, that people just kind of use that energy and they speak to that and they work from that. And I'm like, well, what about the people who oppress you? Does that not matter? And it's like, no, this is about, what the black woman is doing to me and how she's portraying herself, and this is why I act. So it's like it's just responsive, and I'm like, whoa, so then what is the solution? Well, we can't get to that until y'all start. And I was like, okay, I'm going to check out. I'm going to check out because I can't speak. I just know I have royal fallopian tubes, right? And I know what I can offer and the black babies I'm going to have and what I'm going to promote via my bloodline. So,
that's right.
Yeah, it became a hot mess. It was a hot mess. I didn't have fun.
Can I respond to just 30
seconds that conversation?
Briefly, just very briefly.
Yeah.
Here. Sure. It's about appearances versus reality. Just because you look like a man doesn't mean you are one.
That's right. That's right.
Just because you look female doesn't mean you are a woman, and it certainly doesn't mean if you got the color you're a black woman. You got to act like it. Now, male or female, if you run around acting like a heathen with no culture or anything else, you aren't very good to anybody. And too many of these young brothers have just, I call it victimizing self by associating themselves with females they did not need to associate with. And just because they had melanin that was apparent, that doesn't mean they're black women because they may not act anything like it. Now, a good black woman is as good as anything else and is as good as it gets. But you see, you got a whole lot of people that don't know how to act fully human. They don't know how to act like a man or a woman. They don't know how to act like a mature individual. They do not know how to act like somebody who's got some cool sense, home training, and some kind of self-respect.
Gotcha.
And that's right.
We've got this pimp game that gets run by male and female, and what it is bringing the person you're with down to size so they're in manageable pieces. Why in the devil you'd want to tear up somebody you've got a relationship with so they're not as strong as they otherwise would be and bring that strength to the benefit of the relationship? I do not know, but a lot of people think that way, and it's not a healthy way to think. So
right.
Some of those brothers that were impacting you just had bad experiences in life, and they were whining and wallowing and not knowing what to do to break out of it. Sometimes it's just like, I don't care. You may be suffering and being lonely, but you're just going to have to wait because you haven't encountered what you need to encounter yet.
Correct.
That thing about if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with is not very wise advisement.
No.
So true. So I want to, at this time, give the two of you a chance to talk for the next 5 or so minutes, and then we're going to get some contact information from you, Brother Rizza, so people know how to love on you, and we can continue this conversation on the other side.
Absolutely. And let me see. Something I wanted to say really quick was, one thing that I do not like is when black women and black men generalize all black women and all black men because of the actions of a few black women and a few black men. That's not how we need to handle business ever again. That's not how a logical person thinks. Nobody smart does that. But people who act out in pain, basically, if you had a relationship with James and it didn't go well, then you try to generalize and say, well, Rizza is going to be the same as James, without ever giving Rizza a chance. See, that is not how this goes. That is not how it's supposed to go, because there is no such thing, okay, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches, there is no such thing as a no-good woman. All no-good women were made no good by a no-good man. And if a no-good woman made a no-good woman, then that no-good, so-called supposedly no-good woman was made no good by a no-good man. That's how this started. So if we're going to go there, both people have to take responsibility. Black women did help to put us in certain positions and certain conditions during slavery, but at the same time, a lot of them helped us during slavery. They helped to protect us during slavery. So once again, it's not all on one or the other. Same thing with black men. A lot of black men sacrificed and were killed and were murdered because they stood up for the black woman during slavery. And then there were some black men who allowed the slave master to go into his barn or to go over there with his wife or with his daughter so that the man could do whatever the hell he wanted to do, and he didn't stand up for her. See, so we both, on both sides, got to take some responsibility here. Black women got to stop invalidating the good efforts of black men to do what is right and invalidating it and saying, well, nah, you just going to leave me anyway. You just doing this good stuff because you don't want me to do this or you got autism. It's like, listen, hold on. If we are doing good, acknowledge us for doing good, sisters. Same thing, brothers. If the black woman is doing good, if she's making an effort, acknowledge the effort, build one another up. We both crazy as hell. We both in the same thing. We both were destroyed. We both were removed from our, for real, like we both were taken away from our name, our language, our culture, our religion, and our God together. Ain't nobody no one of us did not get hit by this dog. This dog bit the both of us, so we need to come the hell together and stop arguing over petty differences that were given to us by somebody else. So black men, black women, love one another and stop generalizing each other, period.
Yeah. I got a sound bite. I tell you, I got to get to know you. This is your sound bite. In this moment, Yes. All right, because he is definitely preaching. Oh, my gosh. All right, so, again, at this time, I definitely want to get your contact information and give the judge a chance to give us a couple final words.
By the way, that was the wrong religion.
Oh, my God.
That's right.
Have a little fun.
That's right.
Have a little
That's right. Come on.
Stop being insensitive. Those good Christians have not done well by us.
Right. Come on, Judge. Come on.
For years, all they delivered is rationalizations and feel good about being oppressed. So,
Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
That's real.
See there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We got to be aware of our unconscious thought patterns.
All right.
That's right.
Gotcha.
That's right.
All right. So, speaking of thought patterns, how can we connect? How can we stay connected?
Yes, Rizza Islam everything. It's RizzaIslam.com. If you would like to book me for speaking engagements, it is at Islam Rizza on Twitter. It is at _Rizza Islam on Instagram. And Facebook, it is www.facebook.com/Rizza Islam and the number 1. So definitely honored again, family, to be on here. And definitely we need to do this again, man. The judge got me fired up over here. He knows what to say. He knows exactly what to say.
Yeah. We have little after parties and stuff. We definitely got to get an exclusive from you where it gives you a chance to just, you know how like when the pastor's no longer in the pulpit, and it just gives you a chance to just talk and have good banter. I would love, absolute love.
We're thinking that way.
The two of you.
We're thinking that way.
The two of you to get together. Yeah,
when the Iman is not doing his thing, or the minister, we're thinking pastor. The wrong way.
Okay. Guys, I just want to say thank you once again to Brother Rizza for going out your way to do this, man. Hopefully this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship for everybody. And we once again bridge the gap. Elder intellects with the young intellects, and you become a bridge. That's how we become strong as a people.
That's
definitely.
Right.
And it is. I was about to do this. I wanted to ask you to spell your name. Thank you so much for the text I just received. Please make sure that you spell your name so that we know how to reach you, because your website is your name exactly. So I want to make sure that people don't miss that.
I'm sure. It is Rizza Islam, RIZZA. So it's basically pizza but spelled with an R. And the last name is Islam, like the religion. So Rizza Islam.
Okay. All right. And we have a few mics open. If anybody would like to, again, please keep it short so I can give the judge and Brother Islam a chance to wrap this up. We always do a whole 60 seconds or less, at the end, just so that we can hit on any talking points that we miss or just to overstate something so people understand. But anybody whose mic is open, I apologize to those who I did not, because we ran out of time. I did not have time to open up any other mics. But if you'd like to share your contact information at this time, please do so. I think there are like 6 or 7 mics open, so no particular order, just shout out your social media. Anybody going once?
Minister L.A. Kaiser on Facebook and L.A. Kaiser on Instagram.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can.
Anybody else?
Yeah, my name is Maurice Duncan. Once again, holler at me on the Mo Factor on Instagram, TheMoFactor, and also on the Mo Factor on Twitter, and Maurice Duncan on Facebook.
All right. I don't know, Philo, do you want to say anything? No? Officer Stan Mason, I see he's in the building. I don't know. He didn't press the 1. I see a couple familiar numbers, and you guys did not press the 1, so I assume you're just sitting back in the cut just listening. But we love you just the same. All right, so again, 60 seconds or less, because we are down and they will shut off the lights, and then it's so embarrassing when that happens. But we are down to the last 4 minutes of today's episode. So in 60 seconds or less, I'll start with you since you're a VIP. If you could give us just a quick recap. What do you want to say?
Absolutely. I'll just say the black man and woman, we started together and we will end together. And regardless of what has occurred during our sojourn here in America, throughout the transatlantic slave trade, and then, of course, prior to that when we were kings, queens, builders, and architects, etc., we are going back into that state and that condition and that mentality where we understand that true freedom, justice, and equality will only come about when we have a thorough understanding of self, a thorough understanding of our history, who we are, who God is, what the time is, and what must be done. And that is when we will truly go into our liberation as a people. So regardless of what everyone says, black is beautiful, black is gorgeous, the black man is amazing, the black woman is amazing, and black love does not equal white hate nor hate for anybody else. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, beautifully said. Judge, 60 seconds.
All right, in unity there is strength. Keep in mind, toward that end, that constructive criticism is designed to improve. It is not designed to tear down. So criticism is appropriate. Interaction is necessary. And unity of purpose is most important. And what we all should be doing is trying to get free as a people.
That's right.
Thank you, thank you. All right, guys, you heard it here. He's going to be back. He's going to give us a part 2. So thank you so much for that. Man, I really, really enjoyed your company today. Thank you so much again to Maurice, who was brave enough to reach out to you. Whew, we did a lot of stuff behind the scenes, so I definitely appreciate, you for your time. And the person who's been texting me, I don't know that person's name, so I can't, love them then. But thank you so much.
That's my assistant, Sherry.
Oh, hi, Sherry. How are you? Thank you, for all the love you're showing me via the phone. People don't understand. I have 4 devices over here, so I'm going back and forth. Thank you for the emojis. I love it. Thank you. Guys, please have a great weekend. Stay prayed up, please. I don't even know if I say that anymore. The judge don't check me so many times today. But okay, just do your best to stay safe and make it home. Love on one another. Grab the nearest person who looks like you and give them a big old hug, and a cyber hug from me to you, because I am not near you. And yeah, guys, this is a great show. I really had a great time. 929-477-1167. We are here every Friday